Today I am presenting the influence of the American lifestyles on global cultures. Through different practices, an individual is able to practice their lifestyle. However, over time, the American lifestyle has caused culture to conform, which has changed world's consumption, one's self-identity, and previous traditional lifestyles. The idea of conformity seen in this image material allows me to pose this question. To what extent has the American lifestyle created a global loss of native cultures? I chose to address this problem in order to address the fact that conformity to the American lifestyle is creating the global loss of cultures, as well as it is causing the world to become more homogeneous. An individual is able to express themselves through many lifestyles, such as form of communication, engagement in politics and religion, choice of education, etc. Cultures assimilate to the American lifestyle by integrating aspects such as independence, equality, work ethic, and consumerism, as well as aspects of the American culture, including blockbuster films, sports, magazines, fast foods, and consumer brands as shown on the map. The result of this popular culture came from the vast immigration to the United States. In the beginning of the 19th century, the American was going through a large social revolution, which caused for many immigrants to move there during that time. From the stimulus material Democracy in America, the author, who himself was a French man, came to the United States in order to seek out its stable and prosperous democracy. He also learned as to how it worked, and through his research, I'm able to figure out that why many immigrants moved to the United States. Immigrants moved to the United States with dreams of economic opportunity, a better life for themselves and their families, and other reasons as shown on this graph. However, this movement is what created the loss of native cultures. By 2050, with the increased number of immigrants, by 2050, minority populations will most likely have a larger population than the white population in the United States, according to this graph provided by the United States Census. When moving into the United States, immigrants assimilate skills necessary to function in American society. This also means that they force their children to try to live the American lifestyle. In the stimulus material, The Namesake, the protagonist's parents moved to the United States from India in order to have a better life for themselves and their children. When assimilating to the American lifestyle, the protagonist's parents and himself no longer practice many of their previous traditions as they once did. The protagonist, whose name is Gokul, feels out of place in American society due to his cultural identity, which has even caused for him to want to give himself a new name. Globalization is an essential part in the spread of American culture. However, it has created consequences, including the alteration of traditional belief systems, changing work ethic, and reduction in cultural diversity. The American lifestyle and traditions have also played an important role in the modern style through artifacts, writing, and language. Through the influence of the American lifestyle as well as the American culture, the world's interactions have become more homogeneous, which has decreased the diversity in cultural products. This has given the American industries a better opportunities in areas such as film and music, which is causing for local industries and companies to go out of business. Since the United States is portrayed as a dominant culture, it can seem difficult for immigrants living in America to have a positive cultural identity. As a solution, the United States should strive to be more accepting of immigrants and refugees of different cultural identity. This would allow for people such as Gokul from the stimulus material and others to have a more positive cultural identity and be able to freely practice their traditions. The United States government should implement laws and regulations against American standardization so that future generations will be able to practice and learn of their native traditions and teachings. This solution is not the most ideal, however, because it only affects the people living in the United States, even though the loss of native cultures is considered a global problem. Immigrants in the United States may also not want to preserve their culture and feel that it is unnecessary. They may also feel that the American lifestyle that they use the American lifestyle to their advantage, and as it has enhanced their lives. Although it is especially important for the United States to recognize diverse cultures, it is even more important for the countries themselves to recognize cultural identities in their respective areas. According to UNESCO World Report, national projects and international standard setting activities were a great way to promote cultural diversity and identity. Some examples were the African Cultural Renaissance, the Salamanca Declaration, and the Bali Concord in Southeast Asia. These declarations and developments were able to help these regions promote their cultural diversity and identity. With the growth of the influences from globalization and Americanization, it has become difficult to address the challenge of the loss of global identity. Therefore, preservation through projects like these will help those who feel that they must assimilate to the American society be able to freely practice their native culture. This solution does have some limitations. Without cooperation and support from organizations, it will be difficult to preserve these local cultures. Countries may feel that they also do not need to preserve their culture and won't participate in activities that will promote their cultural diversity. Similarly to the first solution, the people living outside of America may already be assimilated to the American lifestyle and feel that it enhances the lives of the people. Cultural diversity is an important part of our ever-changing world. However, with the development of the American lifestyle, cultures have been later forced to conform to this popular culture. Through the influence of the American lifestyle, it has created the loss of native cultures. However, through awareness and preservation, these cultures will be able to develop and it will be able to reflect a unique view of our world.
Okay. All right, keep the camera going. So you're gonna have two questions. Your first question is, what evidence did you gather that you did not include, and why did you choose not to include it?
In the beginning, when I was researching, I was mostly focusing on people living outside of America and how the American lifestyle is affecting them. But I was finding evidence about specific places and not like the global as a whole. I was finding very minimal evidence to that. So I remember researching places about like China and Japan and Germany and places like that. And I felt it was too specific and it would be too much information. So I decided to keep it out. And instead I included the immigrants living in America as a different perspective.
All right, last question. How is your conclusion in conversation with other pieces of published work about the same topic?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah. How is your conclusion in conversation with other pieces of published work about the same topic?
My final solution, I got majority from the UNESCO. So when I was researching, they published a whole like paper about cultural diversity and how they use projects like these to promote cultural diversity and identity. So I took some evidence from that for my solution, as well as I believe there was some other supranational organizations that were doing some similar things as well.
Okay, all right, great job. Woo. I know, if you're gonna say a small group and you're like, clap.